analysis and everything, then again when we revisit the files as and we do it, there might be more development to the understanding and to the overall file is what I feel.
Right. Because even stakeholders, if you think as simple as stakeholders, in the starting it can be easier, but later on when we go into, after 15, the stakeholders can be challenging as well. Risk
Right.
after 25, 30, it can be challenging. Then if you're looking at pestle analysis, so we cannot just come up with the pestle analysis what we think. We might have to do a little bit of research, and I have given you guys industry analysis also. So from industry sheet, you'll get certain points. Like the other day, I shared the news about China controlling their exports, silver exports, and silver is one of the primary components in EVs, isn't it? So things like this is connected. So you have to put that into political risk. Right? Others, you want me to call out names separately? How far you have done? Sumukh, Suchita, Ramani?
Sir, I have one point which
Yeah.
I want to discuss over here regarding the digital strategy.
Mm-hmm.
In the digital strategy platform, as per my knowledge, is that actually this cloud concept, it is creating for any company, those who are working, they have to take the support. The big companies like the Google or Microsoft, AWS with the support, because
Right.
basically the cloud computing they are allowing. So therefore, which is not discussed over along these chapters, then that is a very much risky factor regarding the cloud computing and like this on this work. So if there is, in the case of cyber security, there is a gap in the main company, those who are creating the clouding work and giving the facilities. That is most important one, which was not discussed over here, which I have felt.
Okay. That's a good point. So in terms of technology, we are looking at from two ways. One is the cyber security. Okay. And that cyber security we have discussed in P3, the last chapters. Right. We'll see some questions also that in the coming few days. And there are other things about technology as an opportunity, as a strategy, which is part of E3. If you see in E3, the last two chapters is dedicated to digital strategy, chapter 12 and chapter 30. So here we are talking about all this cloud computing, whether we should do it or how. Basically, the question is not whether or not, how to do it, how it can be in our favor, what strength we have, or maybe what opportunity or threat we are facing in the market with the changing digital strategy. Just like we have financial strategy in today's world, every company across industries need to have a digital strategy as well. So we'll discuss more on this. Make sense?
Also, Miss Pa, I'll share mine on Tuesday. I have to do the risk and the stakeholder analysis. So I'll complete and share.
Right. For example, if some of you have even finished most of that, so it's not like you can sit idle and say, okay, I've done my job. No, you have to keep on improvising. Maybe what understanding you have 15 days before, now it's totally changed. You have to keep on filtering it. And it's all your personal note. Whatever you have in your understanding, it should be there. Obviously, every week your understanding will be different, isn't it? You're reading more, you're connecting the dots. We can write the basic level also, we can write an expert. So try to, become an expert level in that, in stakeholder analysis. I had one student, what he did, in stakeholder analysis, he did a very good job. Firstly, he just put power and interest, what is the expectation of the stakeholders. Then later on, he had another table. It was saying in which condition which stakeholder will become a key player. That was also an interesting point. Because I have seen how CIMA is asking the question is, they'll talk about certain scenarios and they'll ask in this particular scenarios, who are the key stakeholders? Usually it's a 30-40% question. So that's the reason we are doing this list. Now you'll understand, okay, these are the 3 key stakeholders, the 4 key stakeholders in this scenario, and we already know their expectation. So we kind of know the question also, and we kind of know the answer also. Just need to tailor it 15-20% according to the scenario. Same thing will happen with the risk. So irrespective of the pre-scene, whatever question they ask, this analysis will 100% help. In the exam, you'll be thankful to yourself for putting all that efforts, because many times students are struggling with the quantity as well. It's not just about the quality. So that quantity will come when we are doing all these points, connecting the dots. As simple as SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis will help us in a like acquisition we are talking about. We are talking about maybe let's say management buyout we are trying to give, divestment, or in the last week we discussed about the business valuations, post acquisition issues, or pestle analysis. In pestle, especially political risk is being tested a lot of time. It was there in November also. I think it should be there in February as well. At least one variant should have political risk, because to grow the business we have 2 opportunities. What's that? First is go to a new market. Second is come up with a new product. So coming up with a new product, as considering the size of a business, will not do organically, will acquire. So acquisition question linked to funding question. Then second is going into the new market. New market, the first thing is the political risk, right? Or sometimes if they ask you just do the environmental analysis of a new market, they might give you some basic details about the thing. So you can use special analysis. You can say to answer this question, I want to use special analysis, and you can just write small paragraphs, 6 paragraphs. So you have the structure. Okay. Yeah. So anything else? Anil, you have messaged some questions on the group. We can quickly discuss. Can you take us through that one by one? What was that?
The questions what I have put in the with regards to the question you have.
Yeah.
Okay. So a couple of things means with the question which was mentioned right from your end is with regards to the export policy of China, which is getting enabled from 30th January, right? So at that particular point in time, with respect to the China as a country and as a leader in the EV, also with respect to our case study, I just put in some questions over there, or recommendations, or
what is the exact question? Can you tell? What is the exact question?
The exact question is, see, when China is being the leader of the EVs, right, and having the EVs production at a major stake globally, if they have, China is having only the production units in China itself for their global market, like BYD, if we take the example, which we have discussed many a times, right? If China is having the production and manufacturing units in China itself, and if not, that will be effect for China as well, right? If at all they put it in the export policy in place from their country end, of course, globally there is an effect, but for China as well, if there is a production units across the world, they would be having the effect as well, right?
Yeah, so you're saying locally, local companies might also face the problem.
Exactly. Local companies in the sense the China born companies, if at all I can put it in this way.
I understood. So you're saying if this country is having this kind of regulation, the other countries can also put some certain regulations. Yes, that's gonna happen. Yes, and I think this policy is also one of the reason for that, because of the raising tariffs by the US, and China also wanted to respond to that. And they have a very big resource of rare earth metals. So they want to show their importance to the world. Therefore, they have put restrictions on that. Yes, it was more of a reciprocity.
Okay, got it. Yeah. Got it. And with respect to the cumulator as well, if at all we see, right, uh, being in the Duxland and being in one place of the world, that will also affect them very much. And also, yeah, that's what my question is in general from the China stand. Rest all, yeah, I'm good. Thanks.
Okay. So let's start with E3 now. So technically, the analysis what we are doing now is very much applied to the E3 itself. Okay. So now everyone has to participate and give the point of view. As discussed, we'll see what topics can we ask from each chapter and what would be our answer. Okay. You can ask any question. No question is considered silly. Our session is more like a brainstorming. Okay. So the first chapter is about the strategy process. So firstly, we need to understand what is strategy. So technically, a strategy has three components. Strategy is a course of action, including the specification of resources required to achieve a specific objective. So technically, a course of action, resources, and to achieve a specific objective. Why these three things are important? Even if you see what we are doing now for our strategy case study exam in February, our specific objective is to clear the exam. Okay. What resources we have, like this material is one of the resources, recordings is one of the resources, mock question and answer is one of the resources, important topics, one of the resources. Course of action, weekends we have class, weekdays you have planned 2-3 hours daily, right? That's the course of action. So whatever we do should have these three categories, then only we can qualify it as a strategy. For example, if we don't have a specific objective, we just have a course of action, we have resources, that's not called strategy. Or if we don't know our resources, that is also not considered as a part of strategy. And why this is very important, know the resources. Let's say now we are number 3 in the world and we have a competitor which is number 10 in the world. Do you think they can copy us? No, because they don't have the resources like us. Or for example, we are into one industry, we want to diversify. We have a course of action also, we want to become a conglomerate, going into different industries. But we don't have resources as Amazon. Amazon is going into almost every industry. Recently, they have started selling cars also. Now they are into pharmacy, Amazon Pharmacy. Amazon Renewed, they are selling used products. They're into almost everything now. Can we copy Amazon's strategy? No, because we don't have the resources. So technically, to come up with the strategy, we need to be very clear what resources we have, how our course of action can be. Again, course of action, if you see, it will depend on the resources. For example, if you want to do something in Eastland, where we're already existing, it can be easier for us rather than going into a new country. So course of action is linked to the resource and ultimately our objective. And they have used the word specific, not just objective. Specific objective should be very clear. Therefore, some moment before we discuss about digital strategy. So we'll have a specific objective for a detailed strategy. Then we'll have a specific objective financial strategy. We'll have a specific for marketing, sales, after sales, isn't it? And eventually that will be as a KPI, key performance indicators will give to our team, or it might be a target for the board. In fact, if you see, whenever they ask question, we are at the strategic level. You know why this is called a strategic level or it's a board level? Because you have to do something, or basically you have to do a certain thing to achieve a specific objective. Usually in the exam question, they are giving you a specific objective. Let's say risk management. So risk strategy you are doing, right? They're asking you a question about funding. That is about financial strategy. Just we discussed about stakeholder. So they're asking about managing stakeholder. That's also a specific objective. So when you're answering your question, even if they don't ask you directly, indirectly, you have to talk about the resources. Let's say they just ask whether to go in a new country or not, a very open-end question. So how will you say or justify your points, yes or no? Because of the resources. And do you know the resources? Yes, you know the resources. From where? From the pre-scene. You know the numbers, you know how big the company is, you know the percentage of market share you have, you know the sales, the profits. We have a lot of information given for us. If you give your answer which is not linked to our resources, it's too much generalized, will not get good marks, or maybe it's not even a pass. or if our answer is going against the objective, the question they're asking, or we are not giving a proper course of action. That's also leading to a wrong answer. Clear? So everything we do, even if you see in our personal life, giving you example of our exams in this case, but otherwise also any successful strategy, we can call it a plan also, but strategy sounds a better word. A plan or strategy, it works when you take care of all these three things. For example, now most of you are working professional. So the biggest challenge you must be facing for preparation is what? Resources. Not in terms of materials, but in terms of time, because time is the biggest resource. Or maybe sometimes you get time, but it's energy. You're too tired to focus, isn't it? Makes sense? So essentially, strategy involves setting the future plans of the organizations, but it requires a comprehensive understanding of the organization, comprehensive understanding of our organization. And how we did that? We analyze the position, and we keep on revisiting position like we do for every chapter. What are the resources? We have cash, assets, employees, retained earnings, goodwill, isn't it? Then ecosystem, we need to know our ecosystem. What is ecosystem? Technically, ecosystem is like a stakeholders. So an organization's ecosystem is made up of a network of organizations, including customers, suppliers, distributors, competitors, government agencies, etc., involved in the delivery of product or service. This can be via either cooperation or competition. Not every stakeholder is just cooperating us. Competitors, the name itself, competitors, is about competition. However, many times the competition is also cooperating. If you see in electric vehicles, assume that we exist in a real world, so BYDs are competition also, plus they are cooperating also, because they must be supplying the resources to us. Make sense? Then we have stakeholder, obviously. Levels of strategy. So technically, we are divided this into three. Even if you see the CIMA exams, they have divided into three, because they have divided the entire organization into three layers. Obviously, it can change from company to company. Some organizations are too flat, some organizations are tall. So usually, if you come from down to up, we have a operational level, or we call it functional level. So this is all about day-to-day management strategy, day-to-day, like what's happening on the ground. In our case, it can be what's happening with the dealership. It's what's happening with after-sales service. It's what experience people have on our website, our IT team. It's all operational for us. Operational strategy is concerned with human resource, marketing, information system, other operations. Then if you see business level, or it's known as management level, this is the middle level. Having selected a market, the organization must develop a plan to successful in the matter. So once a strategy has been chosen by the top board level, so this level has to make it successful. They don't have the power to make a decision, but they have to implement the decision. Operational level have to just follow, what have been said. But these people have a little bit of flexibility to, let's say, convert threat to opportunity, convert weakness to strength. For example, this strategy is concerned with issues such as achieving advantage over competitors, meet the needs of key customer, avoid competitive disadvantage. For our case, we have to not only grow, but we need to retain our position at the top. Now, this is our level, strategic level. This is the highest level of strategy, also known as corporate level, within the organization, and examines the strategy for the organization as a whole. Why it's called corporate level, or why they are talking about for the organization as a whole? Because whatever we do, it will affect the entire organization. So if somebody is working at management level or operational level, they might not know what's happening at the top. But for you, you need to be aware about our management level also. You need to be aware about our operations level. As a part of a board of directors, you're working closely with the board. Let's say board has taken certain decision without a proper understanding of operation or operational challenge. What will happen? The strategy will be successful? Mostly no, it will be a failure. Because they should understand the challenges that happen at the middle level and especially at the operational level. For example, we have discussed about acquisition. So acquisition merger might sound good, synergy, everything on paper, the strategic level, the board is very high. But unless and until they have a proper strategy to manage management level and operational level issues, it will be a fail. What we are dealing here, anything that affect the entire organization, acquisition, disposal, diversification, entering new industries, leaving existing industries, this can be done. Therefore, many companies want to have an operational expert as a CEO. Who is the most powerful person in the board is the CEO in the chair. And we want CEO who was a CEO before, Chief Operating Officer, maybe who was part of an operational level for a very long time. Why? Because strategy which starts at the board, it looks very good on the paper, but it struggle. Most of the strategies can struggle at the operational level. And one of the reason is the people who are deciding, they are not very clear with the operational level issues. Let's say we have got non-executive directors, they are not competent, especially the executive people. And there should be policies in an organization. There should be maybe communication networks where the strategic level understand in a better way what challenges we are facing at the operations, or at least how the operations actually work. Make sense? Okay, a quick question for all of you. How do you think we can avoid this problem occurring in our organization? Like strategic level or the board is coming up with something, but what's the guarantee? Or if not guarantee, why do you think, or how do you think it can be successful at operations? Or how you'll manage if any problem come at the operational level, execution level? Because at the end, it's all about execution. Making strategy is the easiest part. Executing is the most difficult.
Effective communication and monitoring.
Okay, how do you know effective communication?
As you mentioned, having operational excellence in the board of directors as well. The experience of handling the operations and the executions at the board will help at the CEO or at the board level. That will also help taking the ideas forward for the company.
Right, like promoting people who are operational experts, especially we are into manufacturing business, right? Somebody who understands the manufacturing clearly, who has been part of the EV industry. Okay, that can be one thing. What else?
It's basically identifying the key people who can drive the strategy effectively, and then at an operational level, definitely divide the responsibilities by applicable team and process, and come up with an measurable KPIs and frequently review them to identify whether we are on the right track or any knowledge gap needs to be filled. And regular reporting definitely will help where we stand on the strategy.
Okay.
If
I
you
think this
kindly,
is more.
if you
this is
kindly
more-
repeat the question, please.
Mr. Ramani, I was saying, how we'll make sure that our strategies don't struggle at the operational level.
Ms. Bhai, I think this is more of a policy and procedures guidelines which we issue and internal controls which ensure that our operations are aligned with our corporate strategy which we have implemented, and monitoring of these policy and procedures and controls.
Okay.
At strategic level, which I understand is that at strategic level, the objective is set. And as water is coming from top to the bottom, at the corporate level, in the operational level, that are executing. Therefore, when the strategic level, they are setting up one objective and formulating what should be doing, that are doing at the operational level. Because operational people, they must have a knowledge how to do it. but at strategic level, they do not have such deep knowledge how to do it.
Right.
I feel effective communication is very, very necessary. I mean, I can give my example, current company also. They have a vision for 2030. So, but to achieve that, it is communicated from all various levels from the in the organization. So this is what they want to achieve, and this is how they are going to achieve. They hired specific resources in those locations where they can achieve those strategy, and they are ensuring they are pushing people if they are not, and if people are not accepting that, they are moving those people away from that position and they are putting them into different roles. So that's what is happening in our current also, because they have this vision, they want to achieve that.
Right. So whose responsibility it is? Like the company responsibility or individual responsibility?
In this case, it's everyone has to do. It's more like from the top. It's coming from the top to the bottom. So everyone has to be a part of it, even if they don't like it. If they are not in with it, then you are out of it. Simple. That's what the company is doing, adopting right now. You have to achieve this. You are given the respective KPIs. You have to achieve those KPIs. Within that, if you're not, then basically next year you're not there. It's like that. So company wants to achieve its vision, their strategy that they have a set up already.
Right. So we need
This
to.
is exactly happening with us right now. So where they are adopting a certain strategy for 2030.
And is it working? You think it's working?
Yeah, it's working very well. Within 2 years, there's a lot of push. It's working very well, and I think that they are another 2 years they will might even achieve it earlier. So and that's what they did. They saw the right people, and the people quite the senior level positions were just been axed because they were not ready to adopt that, and they were moved to different roles.
Very good. Very good example. So change management is very difficult. In fact, we have some chapters talking about change in the coming sections. Yeah. And especially we can have a strategy which is like reward and punishment. We'll reward if somebody is ready for change. Communication will provide. Give them the resources. But at the same time, we should have a punishment. As in, if somebody is not serious, not taking it properly, we might have to remove certain people from the project or maybe the entire organization. So whatever we are writing in the exam, we need to justify why we are saying that. Okay, so this point can come in. Now next is type of strategy. So types of strategy is about the model. So first we have a rational model. Rational model is a logical step-by-step approach. It requires the organization to analyze its existing circumstances, generate possible strategies, select the best one, and then implement. So technically, rational model is a traditional model which goes a step-by-step plan. Or technically, we can say it's more about a long-term plan. Let's say 5-year plan, 4-year plan. So in this, we do a thorough analysis. For example, we look at an internal environment, that is strength and weakness. We look at the external environment, that is opportunity and threat. Then we go through different process. You don't need to know the steps. We look at our mission objectives. We look at what position we have. Then based on that, what options we can get. Then looking at the options, we evaluate certain of them. Then obviously we have so many, so we'll choose few of them. We implement. Then once we are implementing, we review and put a lot of control. So it goes back and forth. The study itself is very time consuming. And when companies are doing that, it requires a lot of resources. But the biggest problem with this strategy is the downside is, let's say it's taking 6 months to come up with this strategy for 5 years. But the industry is very dynamic. If they're into EVs, can we have a 5-year strategy? Looks very difficult, especially in today's dynamic world and the industry we are in particularly. Just a change in lithium price, everything will affect, or the government incentive will change the entire game, isn't it? So rational model or is a long-term planning is very difficult in our case. However, to solve this problem, we have a second strategy, that is the emergent approach. So what they are saying is, you can have a long-term plan, but you don't need to be rigid. If something comes up, you can just jump. So strategies are not always formally planned. In reality, strategies may evolve in response to unexpected events that impact on the organization. So rational model will say will not evolve. We are very strict. Let's say government organization. They're very strict. They have certain target. But emergent is like, okay, we'll have a strategy, but we'll evolve. We'll do a response to the market. So this is coming from Mintzberg. is saying strategy is referred to as emergent strategy. Note that the emergent approach does not necessarily mean that the organization does not have a formal plan for the future. However, to be successful, it will need to be able to amend this strategy for unexpected events. So they have given a example of Pfizer. They have got one drug as sildenafil for high BP, blood pressure. It was not successful, but it was sold as a different drug in the market, and it has become a multi-billion dollar. So that's a very good example of emergent approach. Especially company like us, which is very big, we need to have a strategy. We need to have a forward plan. But the plan is, the downside can be, it's very strict. So for us, emergent approach might make more sense than the rational model. Because if we commit our resource for 5 years into certain thing, and we know at the end of first year or second year, suddenly the market has changed, and we know the strategy is going to fail, but still we are continuing that. It might sound crazy, but yes, companies do that despite knowing they are not achieving. Sometimes it is as simple as just the ego of the board of directors, or they have put in so much of resources. Everyone is telling each other, okay, we'll be successful. We are going against the trend, but still we are convincing ourselves, okay, we have done so much and we'll be there. Because they're not ready to accept that we have lost. Or for example, we have a concept called sunk cost. We all are aware of, right? Whatever we have invested, we should not consider that in the future decision. But that sunk cost and that emotional thing, then the pressure on the CEO and the specific directors, they want to continue. But now you guys can ask why we need to have a formal plan. Because you are such a big organization and you have stakeholders to manage. For a smaller company, it can be easier, right? But for us, we need to have a plan. We need to convince the stakeholder. Without plan or strategy, the bank will not even give us finance, right? Yes, Kajan, you want to add something?
Yeah, I just had a really quick question. So we talk about changing the strategy, right? But I think if we go back to the Cewmlator example,
Yeah.
it'll be very hard for us to change the strategy, right? Because we've committed fully into the EV market, and we are fully dependent on the government pushing that narrative and the adoption from the people. So I think in terms of changing the strategy, it'll be very, very hard for us to do, right?
Yes, definitely it will be hard for changing the strategy. But I believe instead of changing, we can just alter it a bit. As from the pre-scene, we don't know exactly which model they are using, whether it is rational or emergent. But I believe it should be emergent to survive in this industry, isn't it? Because if they are rational,
Yeah.
if something change, we are going to lose. So we have to be flexible. So
Yeah,
basically, we
okay.
have two types of strategy. One is like planning, and others are like no planning. So this too is part of planning strategy. We have other two options, that is logical incrementalism and pre-willing, that doesn't believe in planning itself. But the other two doesn't make sense for us because this is for a smaller companies or a startups. But you can still quickly have a go through is that logical incrementalism, as the name suggests. So this is just a small scale extension of the past policy. Especially small and medium companies. Something worked in the last year, they just copy paste the same thing this year. Or if there is any one-off event, we'll adjust to that. This approach suggests that strategy tends to be a small scale extension of past policy rather than radical change. Incrementalism does not believe that the rational model of decision making is sensible and suggests that in the real world it's rarely used. So they are saying like if you have any long-term plan, it's useless because the market will decide everything. Strategy is not usually decided by autonomous strategic planning teams that have time to impartially shift information and possibly options before deciding an optimal solution. Then they're saying managers themselves go through the points and based on their understanding, they'll take the decision. And if something has worked last year, we just have a small scale extension of that. And obviously that makes sense. But the downside of this model is how you will convince stakeholder, how you will convince supplier, how you will convince the government, how you will convince the bank, isn't it? And what if your key managers resign? Let's say you have a team of good managers and they suddenly resign. Now what you will do? It can be a challenge because our companies depend on human resource. Whereas if you have a long-term plan, then we might have data, we might have steps what need to be done. it's easy to train. Then we have another option that is also similar, which doesn't believe in planning, but it's even free area. It's called freewheeling opportunism. Freewheeling opportunism, or we can say it's all about opportunity, free opportunity. Wherever the opportunity is, we are jumping. Freewheeling opportunism suggests that organizations should avoid formal planning and instead simply take advantage of opportunities as they arise. So the best thing is like startup here. Best example is startup. They are just struggling to survive. So whatever comes in, they jump. But obviously, it's almost impossible for us to follow freewheeling opportunities. If you do like this, then maybe in some time we are doing ice cars, then we are doing scooters, then we are in different industries, and eventually everything will be a problem. So usually for the startups, because they don't look to raise a lot of finance apart from the VCs, and VCs are obviously ready to accept a lot of risk, and they need a good amount of shares in return. The main justification for this is that formal planning takes too long and is too concentrating, constraining, especially for organizations in fast-facing industries such as pharmaceutical tech development. It may also suit any experienced manager who happen to dislike plan. What's the problem with lack of formal planning? Like number 3 and number 4, failure to identify risk, strategic drift, difficulty in raising finance, management skill. Right? Even if you think, let's think like a shareholder. If you are a shareholder, which company you want to invest? Company with the formal planning or no formal plan?
Nasba, I have a question.
Yes.
Is this heading correct? That a problem with lack of formal planning and the points that we are discussing, the reason is because this is contradicting with attracting the shareholders and stakeholders through formal planning. But here we are saying difficulty in raising finance.
Yeah, it's difficult in raising finance, isn't it? If you go to a bank, okay, you're asking a loan, so they'll ask you why you need, what's the project, right?
So then, so that's why we have a formal plan to convince the lenders,
Yeah,
right?
that's what they're saying, lack of formal plan. Like in this case, the logical incrementalism or freewheeling, if you're using, it will be difficult for you to raise finance.
Okay, so this is problem of lack of formal planning for the other two, freewheeling and incremental. Okay.
Yes, number 3, number 4.
Understood. Okay, okay.
Yes, Mr. Kajan.
No, I don't have my hand up. I'm good. Thank you.
Hello.
Yeah, Ramani.
Sir, I have one point is there that every company, every dynamic company, the situation which is happening regularly, that though they are starting with the rational model, but logical implementation and emergent approach, these are the part of the regular achievement. I think so, because otherwise it is very difficult to maintain, even if to maintain the regular activities. It may be the strategic decisions at the top level, it may be in the middle level also. Say for instance, if you see, if you open the eyes to the world at a large, regular there are new things that are happening, and it is affecting to the in every industry. So if one company should adopt the rational model with the emergent and logical measures simultaneously, continuously, they should be ready for the same. Am I correct?
Yes. So we need to have a formal planning. That's no doubt about that. Now, whether it is a rational or emergent, that's a different question. There was one question, I mean, it's rare, but it can be asked. There was one question that companies moving from a fixed strategy to a flexible strategy. They have not used this word rational or emergent. So in short, they are saying from rational, we are moving to emergent. How it will affect our stakeholders, how it will affect our business. Right. So you can just talk about the advantage and disadvantage. Okay. Then the second question is about what perspective, what is our goal, why we are choosing certain strategy. Doesn't matter out of 4 which we have chosen, or if you just do in 2 categories, whether it is formal planning or informal, ultimately what we are prioritizing. For example, usually companies have a traditional approach, that is just the profit. The traditional approach starts by looking at stakeholder and their objective, for example, increasing earning per share. This emphasizes then on formulating plans to achieve this objective. So whichever gives us more profit, that strategy we decide. Objectives are very important, but this approach is often flawed insofar as objectives are often set in isolation. Imagine if we just put profit as a goal, it will be very difficult for us to be successful. Or maybe we can get it sometime, but continuously, if you look only shareholders as a priority, only profit as a priority, it can be difficult. We have to think about other areas also, people and planet. Remember, we discussed in F3 also, integrated reporting. So all of this is important. Second thing we can do is market led. We'll put our strategy in align with the market. Whatever the market is looking for, whatever the competition is doing, what new policies are coming, all of that. The more modern positioning approach starts with an analysis of markets and competitors' actions before objectives are set and strategy developed. Now, let's say BYD is going into certain things. We'll also try to copy or do something similar. So that is a marketed approach. Or if you're accepting a project which gives higher profit, that is a traditional approach. So all of this will have an advantage and disadvantage. Then the next one is about the resource. What is our core competencies? For example, our core competency is making batteries. So we'll take a project not just because of the profit or the market, but our core competence. We can make batteries, okay. Now we are making batteries for other products, scooters, buses, anything that requires a battery. That is a resource-based approach. So we have to decide which one we are prioritizing, whether it's a traditional, whether it's a market, whether it's a resource-based. That's the second decision we have to make after, whether it's formal planning or non-formal planning. If you have to decide out of these three, which one you will choose in our current situation, you know the pre-scene, which one do you think we should prioritize in 2026? And why? Hello?
Hello.
Yes.
We should take the market base because we are having the EV market. We are challenging for to grasp the market. We are having only 25% coverage in the market. So our main competitor is to take over, jump with the ICE, who is holding the 75% coverage in the market. So it is the main thing is that this one. So our policy is we will provide the sufficient resource and sufficient adjustments and all the facilities for the customers to satisfy the customers, to hold the market. If you see the PC in the whole details, it is saying that there is no problem of the resources. We will provide the resources, but leading in the market, to grasp the market, to get the market, it is the first priority.
But what about the profit? And what if you don't have that resource to do that?
So of course, the thing is that whenever, as we have already told that the profit is the first object, and not at present. The first is to maintain and stay within the market. Those who, as it is a very much competitive, and all companies, they are not coming from IC to the EV, though there is a government pressure, but everybody is not able to come. So some few companies, they have come. So if we now think that we have to take the more profit, so then we will not be able to get the objective. And resource, we have sufficient resource in our hand. Already we have a company from 1952 to 2012. We have a very much good reputation and resource we have in our hand. Okay. So we should utilize that resources to get the market.
Got it. Others? Any different perspective?
I agree to whatever Mr. Ramani said. So while we have a strong resource based, market led will drive us in achieving our vision and mission because we are dealing currently with a lot of industry related challenges and market related challenges, including government not being going to support for the infrastructure as well. So keeping all of that in mind, when we don't know what's going to happen in the market, only with the resources we won't be able to position ourselves. So again, we can. So if again market led through resources, if we have achieved, the shareholders are definitely taken care indirectly or directly. So that way, prioritizing the market to see, and we are in the EV industry as a whole. Again, we are still in the growth stage and not stabilized much. So therefore, close focus on the market analysis will definitely lead us in a good position in future.
Right. Anybody else? Suchita and Aisa, you guys are very silent. What do you think? We can have a mix also. It's not mandatory that you have to just choose one. We can choose different strategy, different time.
And one point to add, managing the resource, we can always do the resource audit to ensure where we stand in relation to the market position.
Okay. Yeah, but point make sense. Looking at the current situation, if you just go after profit, it might be difficult because it's very dynamic, and the government is a key player. And we also have to look at the competitors. Our competitors are very strong, very powerful. If we just take a project based on profit, maybe we'll get profit in the short time, but in the long run, we'll lose the competitive edge. Or if we ignore
That's
our
true.
resources completely, that means we don't have the core resources built up for the future. Because what is good today, let's say, what is our core? Firstly, what is the core resource and threshold? Or we call it core competence and threshold competence. Threshold is more like an order qualifier, and core is like an order winner. What is order winner today will become a threshold tomorrow, because everyone will copy it. So we need to keep coming up with the new things. For example, what Amazon is doing in e-commerce today, or what they used to do a few years back, now every company is doing that. So with the time, they're coming up with the new features. They're building on the resources. So we cannot be satisfied, okay, what resource we have, it will always give us business. No. What is this an advantage today? Tomorrow it might be a normal. Then they talk about difference between management accounting and strategic management accounting. Technically, we guys have to focus internally, plus the shift is on the external side. We have to be forward looking. That's the reason we have looked at the industry. That's the reason we are following the recent trend in the industry. We are looking at the competitors. So as a strategic management accountant, we have to add more value than the traditional management account. We are doing all of this, plus we have to add more value. That's it from the first chapter. Second chapter is pretty straightforward. Generating strategic options, mission, vision, values, and stakeholders. Okay. Can anyone quickly tell what is our mission, vision, and values? I hope you guys have learned it by now. What is our mission, vision, and values?
So our mission is to make the world a better place by providing desirable and sustainable motor vehicles.
Okay.
And the vision is to be the leading manufacturer of sustainable motor vehicles. So our core values are constantly innovating and committed to enhancing sustainability, offering the highest quality in its products, and then paying attention to the needs and desires of the customers.
Okay, good. I want anyone else to just explain that. Maybe someone.
Ms. Bhai, I just had one follow-up question to ask when we touch upon this point. So here they are emphasizing on motor vehicle and not specifying to EV. Does it mean that we are looking at vehicle in general, including ICE, or it's specific to EV?
All right. So
I think you have that same question there.
what is the mission? Mission is basically the reason why we exist. Okay. Sometimes it can be very precise what business is. Sometimes it can be open. So maybe we have this mission from long time. when we are doing ICE cars, and now we have moved to EV, and now we are linking it to that is the word sustainable motor.
Okay, got it.
Can anyone explain what we are trying to talk in our vision? Apart from Raju and Mr. Ramani, others are very silent. What is our vision? What we are trying to convey here? Anirudh, Anvay, unless you guys are outside or you're joining from phone, you can talk. Whatever comes to your mind, it can be wrong, it's fine. Honestly, in this strategy, there is nothing right or wrong if you talk about strategic case exams. It's just about how you justify why you think in a certain way. CIMA has said officially for one question, you can have hundreds of correct answers. And all of them can pass as well. It's just about you have to explain why you think in a certain way. Anil, I told you guys to read the pre-scene daily, at least once a day. Yeah, what is our vision? I mean, you can see on the screen. What do you understand from that?
Using sustainably sourced resources.
Okay, very good. What else?
What I can say, it is to be the leading manufacturer. Like right now, we are in the top 3, so maybe we now want to be like at the top and like using sustainability as the core thing. Like that motor vehicles are sustainable, and they have Raju said motor vehicles. So maybe we can even get into other things like the scooters or commercial vehicles or something like that. That's just what I understood.
Super, very good. And the first point was really good, leading manufacturer. So we have not used the word one of the leading. So that looks we are very ambitious. We want to be a number one. And it also gives a hint that we are risk-taking organization. We are not risk averse. We are risk-taking. Why? Because only a risk-taking organization want to be a leader. I mean, they can only think of being a leader. Even if you see in personal life for us, all of us, or for any company, we have to take the risk to be a leader, to be at the top. Without risk, nothing is possible, isn't it? So it also talks about the risk appetite of the organization. It talks about the ambitions we have and how you can link this to your answer. If there is a question about any growth and you are thinking that, okay, I want to write in favor and how I can link to the mission or vision. Or sometimes the question itself will ask, link it to mission or vision. So you can see, want to be a leader manufacturer globally. They have not mentioned the word globally, but in the mission, they have used the word world, right? That means we are not thinking about Duxland. And we can see from our operations also what we have done so far. So if you want to be a leader in the world, we have to go ahead. We have to be, more positive with our decision. We have to accept more risk, and we have to try. We have to try new things. We cannot limit ourselves to certain areas. Otherwise, we are not aligning with our mission and vision. And obviously, the same thing you can link is about sustainability. We have talked about sustainability in our mission also and vision also. So sustainability is the core. That means when we are choosing suppliers, when we are designing, when we are doing after sales service, everything. When we are selecting our vendors, suppliers, all of this sustainability is primary. And sustainability, don't think just about the environment. Sustainability is also about profit, sustainable growth. You want to keep the jobs of our employees. That is also a kind of sustainability. Clear? Okay, values. I think values are easy. Cewmlator is constantly innovating. What does it mean and how it will affect us? Yes, Mr. Kaju.
Yeah, sorry. I had a very quick question in terms of the vision. So obviously there's a word there, sustainability, right? But in terms of EVs and the batteries itself, the way it's sourced is not sustainable, right? I mean, it seriously damages the environment. So when we answer these questions about the vision, do we sort of address that or do we ignore it? Because, for example, cobalt mining, etc., that's seriously affecting the environment, right?
Yes, you are correct. So technically, it does, especially the mining. The mining is the one which affects the environment in negative. In fact, it's being reported that it's more harmful to the environment than the ice cars. So,
Yeah, exactly.
firstly, I believe that can be one of the reason. Yeah, Mr. Raman.
Sir, I have one point over here. Why it is saying today is sustainable, because at present situation, again the strategy it is coming according to the resource in our hand. The lithium battery is the sustainable, so there is no alternative at present. The strategy, if we take the strategy at present, that is the best one strategy, sustainable. So when further the resources will improve, available resources, so therefore the definition will come from the lithium battery to another one.
Possible. Yeah, makes sense. And another reason is maybe that's the whole point. We don't own mines because we don't want the responsibility. Most of the pollution happens during the mining process. And even in mining, we have different processes, especially if we do mining and we use the most expensive one, which compromises the profit. But if you use the latest machines and all, the pollution reduces. But companies are reluctant to do that because of the cost involved. So if you take up the mines, or we just buy lithium from the companies which are using more sustainable options. And the sustainability is all about comparison. What is happening in the industry, and if we are better than them, we can say it's sustainable. So it's in perspective. But definitely we have the downside. Can we talk about that in an answer? Yes. If the question gives us flexibility, if it is not a closed-ended question, if they're not specifically asking something, then we can always bring it. In fact, most of the questions are looking on, they are using the word evaluate. So if the questions start with evaluate, analyze, assess, then you can talk about the downside of that, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my question was, we understand that we are sort of affecting the environment, to produce these batteries, but we're doing other things to sort of offset that. Should that be the answer?
Yes, it can be the answer.
Okay.
All right, what about values? So values are something like our principles, which we are not compromising. We should not be compromised. Even in our, let's say any question comes up that we should cut down our research and development, or we should find certain shortcuts to be innovative. So that is like compromising on our values. So we are not compromising our values even in our difficult times. Now currently we have good improving revenues, improved profit compared to last year. Even in the tough time, we should not compromise our values. Otherwise, it can affect our reputation. So values are like principles, which is very personal to our business. So what do you think about our values specifically, like constantly innovating? How do you think it can influence our strategy or influence our business? Committed to enhancing sustainability. For example, we can even link this to the previous chapter point, strategy coming on the resource-led strategy. Why? Because you can connect the dots. You can say our value is to innovate. We constantly innovate. That means our resource is better than the market, or at least it is not lacking than the international standard. That means resource-based strategy can be helpful for us. Possible. Then it is committed to enhance sustainability. We have discussed too much sustainability everywhere. So if any points come towards sustainability, write so much in positive about that. Then it offers the highest quality in its product. Okay, this can be a point of question. Then it pays attention to the needs and desires of its customer. Okay, I need your points on number 2 and number 3. and how it can link to overall strategy. I will make sure that we are not compromising our values. Number 3, number 4. Hello. Should I repeat?
Yes.
Yes. So my question is regarding the number 3 value, number 4. If it offers the highest quality in its product, and next is it pays attention to the needs and desires of its customer. So how will make sure continuously we are giving highest quality? We're not saying good quality, highest quality. And how
But
constantly you can take care of your customers. Yeah.
I think we can do that by implementing good internal control system.
Good internal control system can help for the quality of the product. Okay.
Yeah.
In a way, yes. What else?
What about R&D? Regular, constant R&D, would that be a point? Research and development leading to find out what can be the highest quality that products that we can provide. Like, the batteries can offer because we have a problem of the range for the batteries. So, offering a higher range so that they can have a better mileage.
Hello.
Yeah.
Here there is 2 points. One is, number 1, we are buying the best quality raw material. We are utilizing the best quality of raw material by the best qualitative technique and the peoples. So that's why we are can give the guarantee that it is the highest quality at present situation in the group. These are in our control. That is to use the best quality of raw material and best use of the raw materials at cheapest cost. Am I correct?
Yes.
If I can just add to this, I think the way I would see it is 2 different ways, right? So you got the internal and the sort of the external, right? So I think the way I would do is base it fully on data. So in terms of the internal, you look at the number of defects, etc., on that side, and then once the vehicle leaves our hands to the customer, we'll need data from the customer as well to say, okay, where things are going wrong. So what you really want to do is try and predict before certain things happen to sort of reduce, recalls, etc.
Yes, we have recalls by BYD recently. So that's an industry challenge. And recall is affecting reputation, leading reputation.
Yeah, exactly. So you want to try and if you're saying you're producing the highest quality products, you want to make sure that they are performing, at the level that you want, right? So you'll base it on data in terms of what's coming back from the customer.
Right. Joe, you are saying ensure the dealers are well trained and equipped with right knowledge. Dealership, yes, very important. Yeah, they're effectively communicating.
Yes, Bob.
Ethical.
Yeah, I was coming to that actually. So basically, from the product standpoint, it must pass all the quality related checks before it gets reaches to the consumer. And secondly, does our dealership shares the similar values? We need to assess that because along with the products, even we are referring to the quality of services here from the overall services to the consumers. So after sales services or during the sales services, the quality also matters as to how we provide. So that is something we need to consider.
Right. Because it's like a franchise, and they are just working for profit. It may be small businesses. They don't care about sustainability, ethics, reputation. But
Right.
we have to have strict controls and not just before signing a contract with them, but also after that. Because their one action can affect our overall reputation. Nobody will say that particular dealership. They'll say it's our business dealership. All right. So that's what it's about this chapter mission. The fundamental objective we have seen. Example of Google here. Then vision, what we do. Objectives are technically the goals. We don't know specific objective, but usually companies are making objectives which are SMART. Technically, it's an acronym of specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time. Then companies can have primary and secondary objective. Primary objectives can be for profit, but to achieve that profit, secondary objective is to increase the market share. And how we can increase the market share, for example, by launching new products. So to achieve a primary objective, we need to have number of secondary objectives. Then stakeholders. Stakeholders we have discussed so much. I don't think we need to do it again. Different kind of stakeholders. I hope you guys are clear. If there is a question, we can discuss about stakeholder. We can go ahead. Any confusion with anyone? Just to tell you that stakeholder is one of the most important analysis. Why? Because every scenario you're answering in the exam, every question will have a stakeholder, right? Managing business is all about managing stakeholders. So if you know your stakeholders better, that means you know your business better. You have to satisfy them. You need to know their needs. Right?
Yes.
If they ask a question about lobbying, lobbying is legal in UK. So you can talk about it. It's part of CPA, lobbying directorship. We are using this, right? We have one director who was part of the government previously. Influencing public opinions, donation, associations, legal actions. Very small chapter. Now going into the next one, the role of governance and ethics in the strategy process. So this is a little bit relevant to chapter 5, corporate governance in P3. What is corporate governance? Especially for listed companies, we have strict regulations. Why? Because we are raising public money and safeguarding public interest is government responsibility. So corporate governance can be described as a system by which companies are directed and controlled in the interest of shareholders and other stakeholders. Technically, the shareholders are owners, but obviously it's not about compromising the needs of other stakeholders, the employees. They should also have decent work conditions. They should be taken care of their health and safety. They should be paid properly. Or if there is a minimum wage, all of them need to be taken care of. Usually, corporate governance is considered as a part of risk strategy. But beyond that, it's not about just the risk. It's also about selecting the strategy. Like you see here, the topic itself says the role of governance and ethics in strategy process. So we need to consider this when we are coming up with the strategy. Therefore, when we are selecting the board, remember when we are discussing pre-scene, we are short of 2 directors. Like for example, the next topic after value is how many executives we have. The corporate governance says that we should have at least 50% NED apart from the chair. So we have 5 executives, right? And only 3 non-executives, isn't it? So we are unbalanced. Plus that is pass on to our audit committees and different committees. That chair is sitting in the audit committee. That should not be the case, isn't it? So we need to have 2 new NEDs. And we are selecting 2 new NEDs. We'll select someone who can contribute to the organization. For example, if they are coming from a different skill set, they can help in the strategy process. Let's say we have got one director who is from neighboring countries and who is in the same industry. So what will happen? If you want to do a market development next year, and we are thinking about 2-3 options, but one of the option is neighboring country, and we might choose that because one of our director is from there. You're getting the point? That is the role of governance in contributing to the strategy. At the same time, in other way around, it can be we are choosing certain thing which is too risky. Let's say we want to grow our market share in a very fast pace, and we are doing something very risky. We are deciding on that, but maybe that strategy will not go forward because our risk committee and our major stakeholders will not agree with that. So that also we need to consider. Maybe for a startup or a small business or a family business, they might not have to consider the governance. Ethics, it depends on them. They want to do it or not. But they don't need
Misbah, I
to-
have a question regarding board. Sorry.
Sorry, Raju?
Yeah, I have a question regarding
Yeah.
the board.
Yes,
Is it good to have a separate board member when it comes to mergers, acquisition, divestment, or should it be part of the CEO or finance director skills?
So you're asking as a skill experience.
Yes.
If we talk about ideal world, we should have it in the board, because if somebody is expert, definitely it can help. However, there are so many skills. If you keep on adding so much of board of directors, the group will be so big. And
Right. That's in the ideal world, but in case of Cewmlator, I'm anticipating more on acquisition and divestment. So that way to manage that, is it good to have a board member on
we have
M&A?
a chair who is coming from this experience, isn't it?
He's
The
more from
first
the law,
director, the
legal
first
and
director,
law.
Suren Pillai, is expert in merger and acquisition.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The chair.
Yes.
Okay, okay, I see.
Suren Pillai is, if you see, specialized in mergers and acquisition.
Yes, yes.
So we already have that. Is it a good thing? Yes, it's definitely a good thing.
I think composition is a good one.
Sorry?
I think composition, the board composition is good one.
Composition is good if you see as a normal company, but if you see one of the top in the world, number 3, and we are very close to number 1, right? Then
Yeah.
it's not that great. It's good, but not great.
You see that on strategic point of view, there must be having some gap always. If there will be no gap, so it is not possible to complete all the gaps.
Yes, that's also true.
And then from which side, when and how the problem will enter, nobody knows.
Right. Yeah. So corporate governance claim to bring the following benefits or the advantage of that. It suggests that standard control structure like internal control, we have seen accountability. Institutional investors, financial institutions, the stakeholder, the trust will be higher because they'll think companies better managed. Corporate governance talk about the CEO. No individual person should dominate. Therefore, we have non-executive directors, and non-executive directors are independent people. They don't have their personal interest. In fact, they are not working for money. Their primary aim is they are not getting a salary here. They must be getting a small remuneration, but they are not working for money. So we have people who are not biased. Then the above points may cause the share price to rise, which can be referred as governance dividend. Another thing is, if you have good corporate governance, we can get governance dividend. Additionally, a socially responsible company may be more attractive to customers and investors. As a customer also, if you think the employees are well paid and the company is taken care of, they think about the society and everything, we want to do business with them, isn't it? We want to buy their products over other companies. So it might be helpful in marketing. We have seen so many companies who are doing CSR as in marketing. For example, let's say it's a sports clothing brand or shoe brand. They want to do CSR and sponsor certain sporting events. They're doing CSR also. At the same time, they are getting benefit in the market. In COVID time also, we have seen most of the companies, they want to do CSR, but they want to do in the government projects. Why? Because that will give them marketing, plus they'll have good relationship with the government. So companies always look for their benefit first, and obviously it makes sense. It creates a win-win situation, right? What else can be the benefit in our case? Can you think of?
It can attract some of the government financing, such as green bonds and also sustainable related financing.
Right. Or maybe government grants.
Yeah, government grants. Yes.
Green financing also is a new concept coming up, where we get funds specific to use, where it is helping for sustainability for a greener world. So we have so many things
Right.
to grow in our industry, in our business.
And regarding sustainability related financing, it is related to the performance of the company. A good performance will get good sustainability funding. Low performance will not get, or there will be more interest charges towards what I read.
Right. We can attract talent. Employees want to work with this kind of companies, isn't it? Purpose and objective of corporate governance for private sector is to monitor those parties which control resource owned by investors. Technically, the owners are shareholders and we are employees. It improves accountability. For public or non-for-profit, it's about to work according to value for money. What is the value for money? We have seen already: economic, or we can say economy, effectiveness, and efficiency. Next thing is CSR. So CSR is not a legal requirement, though it's there. For example, a country like India, CSR is mandatory. But in UK, it's not. So in our case, CSR is not an obligation. It's not a legal thing, but it's a societal obligation. We can say, like they have used the word CSR refers to a firm's obligation, but it's not a legal obligation to maximize a positive impact upon stakeholder while minimizing the negative effect. Every business can have some type of negative effect. If something is happening, it will create as simple as a certain waste. We talk about recycling, but at least we have created waste at the first place, isn't it? We are affecting the environment. In our case, we are not recycling, right? We must be using a plastic or related product to keep our vehicles light, isn't it? Obviously, mining is doing a lot of pollution. What else is the negative effects of our business? If you think it's costly for the people compared to ICE cars, it's not going for if you see now, if somebody owns a Toyota car, you will see people are running it successfully for 20 years, and still it will go long. Compared to ICE, this electric vehicles, how long it will go? 5, 10 years? I've not seen anybody using it more than 10 years. In fact, I have not personally not known people using for more than 5 years. There must be, but it's very rare somebody using it for more than 10 years. It depreciates very fast. What else is a negative effect of our business? Negative effect is like a downside. For example, in fast food chain, they are giving fast food. Obviously, the QSR, quick service, is comparatively cheaper. But the biggest negative effect of that business is on the health. People are getting obese. They are taking too much of sugar. It's creating even certain research. What components they are putting in can even cause cancer. And cancer has become a common disease. Obviously, these companies are responsible for it. So what is negative effect of our business?
lithium manufacturing plant is harmful, and it is affecting to the society factory along with the factory.
Right. So whenever this mining process happen, the local it's not just about the humans, even the animals, they can't survive there. There's so much of dust, so much of pollution. It affects the entire ecosystem nearby. Maybe if there is a village nearby, the entire village need to be moved to a different area.
The company should adopt the complete pollution control system over there if they have to stay and continue and run the factory.
Right. So it's almost impossible that a company should not have a negative effect, but we need to make sure that we have a more positive effect than the negative. The extent to which the organization fulfills the economic, legal, ethical, and charitable responsibilities placed on it by its stakeholder will determine to what extent it is seen as having a good CSR. But the advantages of having a CSR can attract customers, can attract good employees, access to wider human resource base, filing or increasing taxes of more polluting. So if we are doing it proactively, we can save ourselves from the fines, from the maybe litigations as well. It can be used as a form of advertisement, like we just discussed. Ultimately, having good CSR can increase financial value of the business. Usually in the short term, it is considered costly, but in the long run, it can help us to grow economically as well. So Carol has some social responsibility model. It says that first, company should be focusing on being profitable, being legal, then be ethical. CSR is more about being ethical. Then eventually we can go into philanthropy. Imagine a company is going in loss and they are thinking to be a philanthropic responsibility. It's not possible. So we have Microsoft, Tata. They are into the categories of philanthropy. But most of the business, I believe we are into just still ethics. We have not reached there. It's not mandatory, obviously.
Misbah, one question. How can we measure the contribution from CSR? How can we quantify it?
Yes. So companies are quantifying it using certain metrics.
Okay.
For example, we are using CSR as a marketing. Okay. We have just done CSR to help in the marketing. So we can see the number of sales that has increased. Isn't it? We can have measures. If we are doing CSR, that can help for getting good staff. Let's say we are training university students, hands-on job training. And now we are seeing how much talent we have acquired through university. How it helps us. So I believe it's not a big deal to come up with certain KPIs or certain tools to measure it. We can easily do it.
But the challenge is out of 100 million of profit, we cannot quantify say 10 million is due to the CSR activity. That will be in
maybe it's
right?
more about non-financial. Financial is very difficult.
Yeah.
So your integrated reporting might help.
Okay.
Expenditure can be able to calculate, but income cannot be able to. In the long run, it can be equal, maybe.
Not exact income, but indirectly, yes. Approximate, I believe we can get it. And companies are doing that. They'll measure every penny they are putting in, right? Whether it's CSR or marketing, we have different tools.
No company is doing 100% charitable work. Whatever
Obviously.
may be the name of CSR, whatever may be.
Definitely. So obviously we have some points here about economic responsibility, then legal, ethical is just the same point. Philanthropy is about, obviously, it's more about direct charity. And companies have 4 options. It's not like always we'll do first is reaction. They'll say I'm paying taxes and and it's a government responsibility. If you want us to do CSR, then don't charge us taxes, the business of business is business, they will say. We are here to make profit and we have paid our taxes. Now the tax money should be part and should be used for the CSR activities. Then certain companies will defense. They'll say, it's not everything our responsibility, we'll do the minimum. Then certain companies will say, okay, or we cannot just say certain companies, certain situation. They'll say, they'll accommodate, okay, whatever you say, we'll do it. And certain time companies will do a pro action that they'll go above and beyond. They'll try to solve the problem from the root cause. That is pro action.
So, Misbah, when it comes to accommodation, I have a question. Let's say we are expanding into a new country, our business, and the government is directly requesting or asking us to contribute towards opening a hospital or government colleges. So, should we accommodate or is it ethical? Because I've seen one of the question on the similar lines.
Yeah, that's a good point. If it is ethical or not, yes. I don't think it should be unethical, but many times what happens this when government is pressurizing, especially where the corruption is high, this is a way indirectly they're asking, if you do that, then only will allow you to do business. So it should not be a way of corrupting, way of entering the market. You're making illegal things legal,
Okay, so then it depends on what the reference notes we get during the exam, and based on that, our answer should be
Yes.
applied.
If you find something fish, if you feel like this is unethical, they're just putting the name of hospital, then they're asking to give charity to the political party.
Right.
Indirectly, they're pressurizing. Then we cannot compromise on our values. No.
Mm.
But if it is a strategy, Tata do that in India, right? Even internationally, whenever they're going for business somewhere, before itself, they'll build up their reputation. They'll do something in the CSR. So people are waiting to welcome that company.
Let's say you find it as unethical, but when I read it, if I find it as ethical and if I substantiate with enough points, is it still okay?
Yes, it's fine. It
Okay.
should not be difficult to get confused whether it is ethical or not. Ethical is like for a normal person, if it is good, then it's fine.
Okay.
Or you can look it from a CIMA perspective. We have integrity, objectivity, CIMA code of principles.
Right.
In this respect, I have one point is that say government hospital built by the company, and where the government company's employees are at a free of cost, they will take the medical facilities, and others they have to pay. So whether how so far it will be calculated, is ethical or unethical?
Yes, Mr. Aman. Then sustainability we have discussed, obviously the impact of technology and CSR. If you use more technology, like you said, how we can measure. So we can have better scrutiny. Let's say we have done as simple as a plantation. So if you are watching it through the cameras, or if you have some other technologies, it can be easier. Greater stakeholder engagement. Nowadays, people are posting on social media, right? More integrated CSR practice. You can involve more people with the technology, improve measurement, increase openness. All of this can be very important. Anyways, before going into this and ethics, I want to know from you guys, what do you think should be our CSR strategy and how it can help us? Firstly, which category? Maybe you can give a little detailed answer. You can talk about first whether we should do CSR or not, or in what ways we should do, and which category we should be coming in: reaction, defense, accommodation, and justify your point. I want a specific answer looking at our case study. And from each one of you. We'll not do a next chapter. We just have few pages. We'll close out this chapter for today. But I want a good answer from all of you. There is a high possibility this can come in. Or sometime, this can be a response. Let's say some bad news happened, and bad news as in something bad happened, unfortunate, and things are on media, they'll ask you how we can do the damage control, or they can ask you directly also, can how we can use CSR to improve our reputation. So think about two scenarios. One is in a normal scenario we are doing to uplift our image. Second is in a scenario where something has happened and we are into the media or publicly, we are losing our reputation. Think about both the scenarios. Yes, Mr. Kadu.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of CSR, what I would say is, do what we can at the source. So, for example, clearly these the raw materials are being acquired at a less developed country, right? So I think do something along those lines where you make sure that the safety concerns of these miners, etc., are taken into account, and we sort of prioritize that.
Okay.
So, Misbah, I can think about contributing towards the human resources, wherein we run a factory-based operational business where we need a lot of human resources, even in case of acquiring a new business or expanding our business, and keeping the board support where we have a close relationship with the universities. We can always provide certain percentage of hiring from the campus
Okay.
to meet the corporate social responsibilities. Now, let's say tomorrow, if there is any news regarding the human resource, so we will always have evidence to prove that we have been contributing certain percentage of hiring from the
You're giving
universities and creating the job opportunities, and the news may not be true, and we can substantiate with it, and we continue to have that long-term contribution towards development of the society by providing or creating more and more of job opportunities. That way we can address it.
Yeah, that's you have given a specific answer. So my question was about the CSR. Shall we do it or not? And if you do it, yes, why? And which areas? You have given a direct example. That is a part of the answer. But think about the other points also. If you have to give a holistic answer, let's say this is a 60% question. 60% means in exam you need to write at least 6 paragraphs.
Hello.
Yes, Mr. Rahman.
We should do first question is we should do the CSR because we have many areas where CSR responsibility is there. Number one is that it is our challenge to make the world a sustainable development and continuity with the automobiles. So we can install or make a setup in Daxland, one institute for sustainability development, and one auto engineering regarding this aspect. And second one is we should make a synergy with the Royal Society of Chemistry in this world for the development of the raw material. That is very much required because still lithium is so obnoxious and hazardous. We should have to get escape from this one. And it is also, as we are using the lithium, so it is it is just increasing our expenditures also for the society development, all this. And we are taking more care to maintain the sustainable development as we are using the lithium, and that is also expenditures that can be able to save if we maintain this CSR, that is the raw material development, along with the Royal Society of Chemistry.
Okay. Others? I also want to highlight and connect which category you want to be in reaction, defense, accommodation. Everyone have to answer this, one by one. If you want, I'll call out names. Anvay, Anirudh, you guys are very silent. Hemant, Joe, you can put in chat. Mr. Kamran, Arslan.
Hello.
Yes, Hemant.
Yeah, Mr. There can be an answer to this. The why we will be going with CSR is one thing that we are already into the mining industry. We are mining the lithium. We are polluting some kind of an environment, and the government is seeing all these practices since they're pushing it for moving to EV systems. Now, to compensate the EVs, we can uh, do on some CSR activities like wherever we mine it, we put the entire area, entire ecosystem into green park. First, we can do this way. Second, whatever the mining we did and what are the pollutants we gave to the society back, we can government rather, and we can be a partner to the government, and we can ask the government that we in case give means jobs to the people. It can be in the partnership or government itself can ask the company to do it that way. But in case of CSR, we can push the thing to the government. We can create an idea. We can push that idea to create the jobs. Can this be a part of the answer?
Yes, giving job and you're contributing to society. Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you.
So, Misbah, out of four different strategies for companies like Cewmlator, who are in the top three in the world, proaction will be the better strategy all the time because it is more of an proactive approach and there is intention towards the corporate social responsibilities in contributing to the society. Whereas the other three strategies are more like whether it's still you have option whether you want to do, not to do, based on the decisions, resource available, mainly the financials factors, etc. For Cumulator, it is more of the proaction is what is suitable for whatever the CSR we choose. That's my point.
Don't you think proaction can be very costly for us? Because if you see, it says we go beyond the industry norms.
It can be costly, definitely, but then the outcome also will be relatively beneficial for a sustainable or if we, so also to achieve the mission statement where we want to have a world a better place. So how do we achieve it? It is going to be a long-term process. And how do we achieve it? Definitely the indirect contribution to the society will lead to achieve that.
Right. And we are such a big organization, we have to lead the change. We cannot wait for the change to happen. We have to make the change.
Yeah, so lead by example, basically.
And another thing we can add is we can follow proaction maybe in Dutchland or the areas where we get more business. And other countries where we have minimum business, we can go for reaction or defense. That's also possible. Anil, you have put certain points. Can you just elaborate what you want to say?
And just to add on one more point to Misbah before I forget, sorry. The point what you made, the proaction approach in Duxland, maybe that will attract the outside countries to for us for Cumulator to start a business there as well based on what we contribute to the society in the current country.
Possible, yes.
I think, Misbah, since pro-action approach is time consuming and it's costly, how about if Cumulator adopts accommodation approach and so having this approach will have some standardized rule and yeah, basically standardized practice, and it will be less costly and time consuming as well because we'll be doing it always. and
More
we are not
sustainable.
completely ignoring.
More sustainable as well.
Yes.
Because if you're short of funds, accommodation maybe we can do, but proaction in short of funds may be difficult.
Yeah, and we can concentrate on our core competencies that way better.
Can you also think of specific CSR you want to do? Any example? Like apart from the university?
I think concentrating on the environment. So since lithium is causing too much harm to the environment in some way or the other, maybe if there's any other option we can come up with for these EVs.
Like Divide is doing, they want to try sodium batteries.
Yes.
But that is a part of CSR.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
I'm saying, can we put that as a part of CSR? Sodium batteries.
In a way, if it helps environment, yes.
Okay.
Nispa, I wanted to ask, like, suppose we invest with companies who are into like recycling, would that be considered as a CSR from our side?
Yes, you can.
Hmm.
Misbah, the sustainability report says we closely monitor the energy usage and associated emission. Is it this an already accepted responsibility, or is it a proaction?
Sorry, can you repeat?
So our cumulative sustainability report says we closely monitor the energy usage and associated emission. Is it an accommodation CSR for cumulator, or is it a proaction strategy
It's not a
that we're
proaction.
taking? Okay.
It may be a defense or accommodation. We can even think CSR as a managing risk tool, risk management. If you're doing CSR, do it with the NGOs and the actors in the society who are very powerful, who can influence the government to come up with the new laws. So invest and work and align your strategy with these NGOs, because nowadays these NGOs and NFPs, non-for-profit, have got so much of power because of social media, right? If they have a campaign against us, it can affect our reputation, share price, business, everything. So make sure that we are contributing to them and we have a good relationship with them.
That will be proaction, right?
Yes, and we have a board of director also who is having a relationship with them. If you do before the challenges, it can be easier.
Misbah,
Yeah.
one thing I didn't understand, what is the CSR to do with the reputation risk?
CSR can help us to manage the reputation risk. For
Okay, it can
example,
help it out.
tomorrow this non-government organizations come up and say this company is polluting, we should stop it, and they are responsible for that. So if we work closely with them, we educate them, we involve them in decision making, at least the major ones. So we are saving our reputation, isn't it, for the future?
Okay.
Another thing is about ethics. When we are operating, we should be following the ethics. So we have corporate code of ethics and personal ethics also. Corporate code of ethics, you don't need to remember, but just very simple to understand, like values of business, customer relations. Technically, be good with your stakeholders in simple words. And we have shown that we are committed to it through our values. Like better working conditions is self-explanatory point. Another thing important is your personal ethics. If you go beyond that, this integrity objective, this is a must. Usually it is being tested. It's part of operational case study, management and strategy case study also. So usually they might give you a scenario and say, is it ethical or not? So you have to see out of these 5, which one is being compromised. And you have to explain how it can be taken care of. We have one question for this in mock. There also will practice. But you should understand what does it mean. The simple meaning. I think we discussed it previously in P3 also. Any questions regarding the ethics?
No.
Then what else?
Hello.
Yes,
Ms.
Mr. Ahmad.
Now, what is
Yeah.
the difference between ethic and the moral? Is it the application, ethical standard, professional ethics? It is a morality of one professional to do this one.
So
One
technically,
doctor.
this ethics and principle is by CIMA. Every professional organization have certain ethics, what we need to do correctly. Technically, moral and ethics, I believe it's very close. Or maybe we can differentiate what is moral and what is law. Law is something which is backed by the action. If we don't do, we'll face the consequences, legal consequences. But morals and ethics is like will not face the legal consequences. We will not be sued. It will not be a litigation against us. But it will be considered a wrong by the society. So moral and ethics can also change according to the culture. Like the legalities, laws can also change, but this can also change as well. So we are doing beyond legal. That is moral and ethics. And ethics can be specific to the profession, specific to the industry. I think moral can be very much generalized.
It's more personal and your personal perception
Yes, moral can
based
be
on the culture.
like in certain culture for elders, they don't call them by name. They call it like, different names, respectful. In certain culture, if you call them by different name, they'll not be happy. You have to call them by name. It's other way around.
In the company also, if you see, one should not be ask a question to the senior, one junior.
Right,
it is
right.
also the ethical standard within the organization's structure. Or
Right.
senior is always
I don't think that's expected by the company. It is the people who set that, and it's more from a top-down approach.
because all the companies, they're full of professional peoples. So professional, whatever the senior has told, the director has told, the set the objective, that is the correct. It cannot, you cannot deviate. The second level in the strategy, the organizational level, operational level, they cannot deviate the strategic level decisions at the top level.
Right.
I think I have a live example from my previous organization where the culture is very strong. And to address that, we strongly believe in a challenge process, but not challenging the people. So we have to constantly apply the challenge process in each and everything that we do. And if we feel something is not right, so you have the authority to challenge the process.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's how the culture is made. For culture, we have to take strong actions. If we don't have strong actions and the culture is people are dominating each other. Ethics we'll see, and yeah, that's it from this chapter. So in tomorrow's session, we'll start with external environment. So external environment, we'll talk about SWOT, PESTEL, so your analysis can help. Yeah.
Ms. I have one question out of curiosity. So
Yeah.
if CIMA's code of conduct or ethics is compromised and identified, can they remove our certification designation?
Yes. If somebody complains that as a CIMA member, this person is not being ethical, definitely you can lose your membership.
Okay.
That is a not only CIMA, in CMA also, there is a procedure also that you are violating the rules and ethical standard. So if one member can put a complaint to the board, so one other member who is complaining, and if it has been proved, so the certificate can be cancelled.
Yes. However, that we are talking in ideal world. In reality, things are maybe a little bit different, because the manager itself is pressurizing the employee to be unethical because they want to achieve their target. So reality is totally different. But it's very rare to see people taking stand on ethics.
In smaller issues, there might be some penalties, right? Rather than canceling the whole membership altogether.
Obviously. Yeah. All right then. So we'll connect tomorrow and start with chapter 4. Those who have not read or gone through the recording, please do it. You can come better prepared. And some of you are not very active today in discussion. Maybe you're outside or some other reasons. Tomorrow come a little more prepared. Okay.
Okay, Mr.
Thanks,
Thank you all.
Thanks, team.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.